This is Hans Scheil from the Finishing Well podcast. On Finishing Well, we help you make godly choices about Medicare, long-term care, and your money. Your chosen Truth Network podcast is starting in just seconds. Enjoy it, share it, but most of all, thank you for listening and choosing the Truth Podcast Network.
This is the Truth Network.
Coming to you from an entrenched barricade deep in the heart of central North Carolina. Masculine Journey After Hours. A time to go deeper and be more transparent on the topic covered on this week's broadcast. So sit back and join us on this adventure. The Masculine Journey After Hours starts here now.
Welcome to Masculine Journey After Hours, and we're excited to have you with us. And Jim, how many more Eves, just in numbers, not the EVVVV count, but how many more Eves do we have until boot camp?
6 for those of you that sign up and join us.
So you need to sign up and join us. It's not that
Otherwise,
many.
it doesn't matter.
It's less than that. It's
6.
5.
It's 6. It's 5 for us.
It's 6. Oh yeah, I should trust your math. What am I doing? What am I thinking? Yeah. So, Rodney, no, I'm just kidding. And Danny, would you like to set us up, tell us what the show is about?
We have been talking about layers and layers of wounding, layer of healing, and we've started out with the clip from Shrek where he talks about ogres are like onions. And in this show, I've had layers of wounding about watching the mic go back and forth and not getting to say anything. But anyway, that's what we're talking about is layers of wounding and layers of healing and
everything.
Everything has layers.
Yeah.
We'll just keep talking then.
Yeah. You anything you want to say?
You know, layers. Well, I did have a story.
All right, go ahead. You got the mic.
I do at the moment. I'm gonna guard it. At the moment,
and maybe your only opportunity.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
So well, coming up to boot camp, sometimes you choose a talk. I guess you want to do, and sometimes it chooses you. And I think mine chose me this time as the poser. And what has been interesting is God has begun to peel away the layers of my independence. And I didn't realize what was going on until last week. And I've had this psoriasis, and you guys know the struggle I've had with it, with medications and stuff like that. And my fingers they literally come apart if I try to do anything. And it's frustrating for a guy who works with his hands. Well, I don't now. I move a mouse, but, it takes
It's
your
tough
fingers
work.
to move. Yeah, it is. Wear steel-toed boots so if my desk falls. And so what I realized was my fear is that I'm not going to be able to take care of myself or take care of my wife, take care of my family. Mm-hmm. And I began to struggle with that and all that comes with that wounding. And God began to peel the layers off. And he's going, don't you realize I take care of you? And so I am excited and somewhat fearful of this boot camp because there's been something in my spirit since we started talking about this boot camp that something big is coming.
Well, what's the beginning of wisdom?
Fear of the Lord.
Amen.
So that's been kind of my story and I've talked with my wife about it. She said, well, I will take care of you. And which is awesome to have a good wife. That's what Proverbs says. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. Took me a couple of chances, but I found a good thing. Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah, you just need your picker was off.
You were looking in all the wrong places, right?
In all the wrong places.
And he took his hand off the mic, so he lost it.
Yeah. Do you have something you want to talk about?
A clip, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be good. You want to go ahead and set up the clip?
I can do that.
Okay.
If my microphone will stop. We have 3 microphones for 6 people, so it could be 7, except one of them we're not allowing to have it. So my count was right. Next time.
Yeah, if you say
anyway, I love Lord of the Rings, and I told folks I was Robbie this week, and I'm trying to add some class to the picks he has, and this is one of the great ones. This is during a time when Pippin and Merryweather have headed off on their own adventure, and they were wandering through the Ent woods and got picked up by Ents, literally, and taken for the battle with Saruman the White. And most of the rest of the troop, Gimli and that elf guy. I like the dwarf. I forgot his name. Yes.
Legolas.
Legolas, thank you. No, wrong one.
Elf guy was Legolas.
One of them was. But anyway.
Okay, yeah. Gimli's the dwarf.
Gimli's the dwarf.
Yeah.
And Aragorn were going through the woods looking for their buddies and are terrified because they recognize that the White Wizard is in their path. And you'll hear a quick battle when they lose to the White Wizard. They've all tried, and these are great fighters, so they know they're in trouble. And you may play it.
You are tracking the footsteps of two young hobbits.
Where are they?
They passed this way the day before yesterday. They met someone they did not expect. Does that comfort you?
Who are you? Show yourself! It cannot be. Forgive me. I mistook you for Saruman.
I am Saruman. Rather Saruman as he should have been.
You fell.
Too far. I've been sent back until my task is done.
Gandalf.
Gandalf? Yes. That was what they used to call me. Gandalf the Grey. That was my name.
Gandalf.
I am Gandalf the White. And I come back to you now. At the turn of the tide.
And Gandalf the Grey was the leader of their group along with Aragorn. And they would have expected he was dead because he fell into a bottomless pit, basically, with a Balrog, which is evil being from the pit. I guess I can say the pit of hell from here.
You can.
For this show.
You can.
But I wanted to pick on Rodney because he got censored and I didn't. Nah.
Got smacked down.
But with Gandalf, he did a transformation. He had a layer added to him, and he became the good white wizard after Saruman failed terribly at that. And that was a layer that was added to him that brought him to the point where he was able to help the team get to the next step and to accomplish the mission. So it was a wonderful reuniting of the group, but it was one that started fearful. And we missed the battle, but it was awfully short, where they actually were trying to fight against the white wizard they feared and then found the white wizard that was wonderful. And that's one of the things that happens when God removes layers for us. We can turn from being evil to being good in a heartbeat. For some of us, it's taken a lot longer, but it can be a layer that's quickly removed or many layers over time.
Yeah, and then we go back to that thing again. You don't know which layer he's going after at that moment. You know, if anyone's been listening to the show, you know over the last 2 years, my life has been, topsy turvy, and I've gone through the thoughts of suicide, and quit my job, lost in my mind at that time everything, right? But I didn't understand what I was gaining. The Lord took me through a time of testing. It was a true testing and showing me where my faith really was, and showing me that, that no matter where we are with our relationship, we believe on a level. We don't fully believe. Where would we really be if we truly believe every word in that in that's written in Scripture, right? But during that time, he was stripping things from me, and he was adding other things to me. He was stripping this understanding now that I had more faith in my job and money and the things around me, the people around me, than I had in him. Is he truly a loving father? Is he really going to take care of me? Because I can remember sitting on top of the mountain with a pistol on my knee, thinking he's never going to come through. They're better off without me. And I look back at that now and I see how he came through at the very last minute. Right, in my mind, at the very last minute. For him, it was right on time, and it wasn't even. It was abundantly above and beyond anything I thought. And there was another testing right before he gave me that. Right, he gave me another job it was a job. It was horrible, but he was testing my heart to see if I could be content, if I could just trust him in it, and I did. And in that moment, whenever I finally laid everything down and said, "Okay, Lord, if this is where you want me, I'll mentor these young men. I'll do all these. I'll do whatever you want me to do here." Immediately, he blessed us abundantly and beyond. Even in the losing of the home, it really wasn't a losing, because after I met the family that was buying the home, who came up from Florida with the same understanding that God was directing them, and now being able to look at that and see that we were preparing a place for them to come to. Not to mention, now I have a different perspective. Right? Because I know that he gives us the layers that we need for the journey to come. Each one of us, every one of us is on a different journey, so be very careful how you judge others' journeys. But he gives you exactly what you need for the next leg, or for legs to come. So, pay attention to those things, those little things, whatever it is he's trying to do with you in the moment. It has its purpose, it has its reason. I had the hardest time with the scripture that says rejoice in your trials and tribulations, right? But it says very clearly that it brings about these things. It brings about patience, endurance, faith, hope. He wants to do a great work in our lives, but we're comfortable, right? We get comfortable and we dig in so far and we don't want to go any further, and we're content here. I'm happy with my onion right where it is. It's just the right size, right? I don't need any more taken off. I'm good. It's a hard thing. It can make you cry.
It can. It can. Wayne, thank you. Jim, I wanted to go back to something. This show's called The Masculine Journey, right? And it comes from stuff that Eldridge talks about. That's where we kind of latched onto it as some of the concept. But in The Masculine Journey, you literally have layers added onto you your whole life. You start out in boyhood, right? And then, as Eldridge would write in his book, it goes to Cowboy Ranger.
I was going to say Ranger, because
Yeah.
I prefer that to Cowboy. But
Yeah, and some would prefer one or the other, but Cowboy Ranger stage. And then you go into the Warrior, right? And
the
Lover.
Lover,
right?
And those can overlap.
And they can
usually
overlap.
do.
King. But even when you're king, you still have to know that you're the loved boy of the Father, right? Still, as the king, you have to have a heart for being the ranger or cowboy. You
And
can't-
as all women will tell you, men are just big boys.
yeah,
So
which we are.
we
Yeah,
are.
Yeah, I still laugh at the same things I laughed at when I was 10 or 11.
I
it
try
doesn't really
not to, but
I still do.
Robbie makes us do it. So.
Yeah. But, and then that continues, and so these layers are built. And Morgan Snyder wrote the book "Becoming a King," and the whole concept is God is preparing us for these next steps, and so and along with those steps, hopefully we're continuing to grow in intimacy with Him.
Yeah, the position of senior pastor is a kingship.
Yeah.
And I was asked if I wanted it, and my reaction was laughing. I said, "No, I'm in the sage stage, and while I have my small kingdom with my wife, and there's other things that are part of that, having the major kingdom that we seek in our middle age is no longer appealing."
So I just figured they said senior pastor because you're pastor because your age.
Senior, I've got
Pasture.
Pastor.
Put him out to pasture.
That's not true because Jim, you would be a senior pastor because of who you
Yeah.
are and everything you bring to the table.
But it is not where God's placed me, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I prefer the one-on-one stuff.
You're most of our senior, so just.
I really pray for Harold to have long life because
Yeah.
I do not want to take his position.
No. Andy, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, so I was kind of meditating on that this week, and I'm in Ephesians 4:22 came up to me to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life, to put on your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires. It's really talking about taking off your old self. And that's those layers. That's what I think we're talking about here. And then it got me thinking, well, what's the reverse of that? So I got to thinking about layers. Layers, I never heard it as a kid. It was just put on your big coat and run it, go outside. But then it became more popular to run. The most effective way to keep yourself warm is layers when it's colder. And so it's a cold world out there. But I just got to thinking about if I was to put on Christ, like it also tells us in the epistles, I don't remember which one, but, I put on a T-shirt that says, my Father loves me and he created the universe. And then I put on a pullover that says, my name is Andy, a.k.a. Strength of God. I put on a hoodie that says, I'm a warrior in my Father's army. The overcoat that says, and I thought through all this through, obviously, but the overcoat that says, you have what it takes.
I went after a guy at the restaurant tonight because he had "Love Out Loud" on the back of his shirt.
But, the whole thing about it is that's the layers that we've put on now. We've went back through. And you could even go into those. You could say in the identity, like when you get your new name, you get multiple new names. And there's layers to that. So the cool thing is that God has a way of backing out all those layers and then adding to all these good things and layers in that, as you were saying. I just wanted to say that to kind of support what you were saying, Jim.
And like I said, we do have different layers God's given us in the new name. I mean,
Right,
I've got
yeah.
5, and you guys make fun of all of them. It makes me feel special.
Only waxing.
Yeah. Gibbons, give us something.
Yeah, Gibbons would be monkeyish.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that when I said it, actually. I think I heard it on the show. Was that on the show? Like
It might have been.
I think yeah, monkeying around, waxing Gibbons. Yeah, that's where I got that. Yeah, so we could keep talking or we could play Rodney's clip. What do you guys vote?
Play Rodney's clip.
Okay, we'll play Rodney's clip.
Wow, I get my clip played. Well,
There were some votes against it, but none of them had microphones.
And it's still a lot of time in the show.
Well,
so
I was just say, and Sam has a microphone, so I'm surprised I didn't get shot down.
Well, he spoke before I did. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
he's quick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Well,
Anything for a friend.
all I have to say is it's complicated. So that's where my brain went when I started thinking about this concept of layers and what we do and coming up with that kind of, hey, layers are in about everything, is where it's like, oh man, it's just complicated. So I was like, there's a movie called that, isn't there? So I went and looked it up and I was like, oh, that's what movie that is. And then thought, well, I'll see what the trailer's like. And it kind of, it just portray a lot of different layers of relationships and things like that end up happening in our lives. So what's happening in this movie is the older couple, they get divorced because the husband has an affair with a younger woman. Typical kind of story we see a lot in movies and in reality. So he goes and has this affair. He's really realizing that, hey, he made a big mistake. He's now attracted back to his wife. His ex-wife, and his ex-wife is actually finding another man about the same time. And she's ending up having a relationship with 2 different people, and the kids are finding out during this time. And it's just a very complicated layers of people discovering what's really going on throughout the entire movie.
You look good, Janie.
Yeah.
You do. You always do. Your hair's shorter.
Longer.
I like it.
Knowing how to be divorced is next to impossible. Not that I want him back.
Of course not. He cheated on you. Your 20-year marriage ends, and then he marries her.
Joe, you are so lucky Jerry is dead.
Thank you.
You don't have to bump into him.
Oh, that's true.
My marriage is not turning out as I hoped. She's got me booked at the fertility center every other day.
Jacob Adler. Have fun.
One tiny note, no his and her sinks.
And you don't think in the future you might want a his?
Now we're talking code about my life.
I thought he'd never leave.
What are you doing here?
I've never really known how to live without you.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
I'm having an affair with a married man.
You're not saying.
Oh, yes, I am.
I would like to propose a toast to your mother.
Out of nowhere, sudden appreciation.
Not totally out of nowhere, if you know what I mean. I think this is very French of us. Oh, my God. I have a young wife, but I'm having sex with my old wife. Not old, you know, ex.
And you don't know, you don't know, you don't know.
That nerdy architect really likes you know that, don't you? I haven't had fun in almost 3 years, Jake.
They must be hammered.
Something like that. Hey, there's your ex-husband. Uh-oh. Why so tense, big fella? Let's see if we can make this work.
We can't, Jake.
How about this? Gray sweater, very old.
You have to keep that. It's cozy.
Okay, I'll meet you back at 30.
Mother, what? Whoa!
It's complicated.
It's complicated, Sam.
Thank you, Rodney. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I think about our stories and what you guys have brought to the table over the years, and I just see how complicated others' lives are. I'm like, wow, I'm not the only one with a complicated life. I'm not the only one that has things coming at him out of left field, and I'm not the only one that's has this specific issue. I'm not the only one that has those issues. It's one of those things where you're kind of nice when you're like, can say, hey, you know what? I actually don't have one of those issues. I'm missing that layer. And it's like, I don't want it. Kind of like where Wayne's at right now. It's like, I've had enough layers peeled back lately. It's like, I'm just kind of happy where I'm at. So it's one of those things where layers just continually jump at us. And you don't know when the next one's going to get peeled back or added on. As Jim was saying earlier, it's something that I think you have to kind of start to move into your life where it's like, okay, whatever God has for me, I'm going to find some joy in it. I'm going to find some peace in it. And I know that he's in it, that it's there for a reason. It's not just by chance. Like so many people say, oh, it's just by chance. It just so happened. No, nothing happens by chance. It's already going to happen. It's already there. God knows what it is. He's in control. And you're just so much happier and joyful and content when you allow him to lead.
Thanks, Rodney. That one of the things we make it be so complicated, but it doesn't have to be.
And that's been the layering for me in learning, is to get to that contentment of, well, I'm just going to let God do his thing. It's not just let go, but it's like, I'm going to move forward with what I think he's telling me to go do. And hey, if he puts up a wall, I'll turn and go a different direction, go some other place. And it's like, okay, that's fine. I'll go do that.
Well, one of the ways, what you brought to mind, Rodney, was one of the ways he calls us out of the shadows is getting us out of our terminal uniqueness. You know, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. And to realize, hey, other men struggle with this. Other men have gone through this. But we like to think that our troubles are our own. And that's the lies of the enemy that have been layered on for years.
Yeah, you got most men, that have struggled with pornography. The enemy comes at them and says, you're the only one that struggles with this. You can't let anyone know. He tries to push you down in shame. But Andy, there was a statistic you were telling me the other day about. You want to share that?
Yeah. So there was a kind of like a infograph that said there was several categories: phone, cell phone, internet, and it was how long it took.
Hold on. Don't mention the site, though, because I don't want to promote the site.
Right, okay. It's a good point. How long it took to get 50 million users for those particular technologies or whatever. And there was a porn site, all these other ones, it was like, years. I can't remember all the stuff, but it was years to where there was 50 million users of a telephone, I think, or a cell phone, or the various things. And it was a lot. Some of them got it down to like, 3 years. 3 years for 50 million users on Facebook or something like that. It was 19 days for the 50 million users for this one porn site. I mean, it's just amazing.
Right, but yet the enemy tells men, you're the only one that struggles. Right, it doesn't make it okay because everybody else struggles, but what you can say is, okay, this is a bigger problem than just me, and God needs to come after that in me. Yeah. But, there's also men that have gotten past that, right? Want people to have victory over it, and there's no reason to live in this shame because I can get victory over it if I walk with Jesus through it.
And you called it terminal uniqueness, but one of the wonderful paradoxes of God is everybody is unique. Everybody is someone that relates to God in a unique way. But we do have many things in common and some things not in common. And God loves to put people together, both friends and husband and wife, that are very different, because if you can learn to work with the differences, I won't use the big word, but you can, I'd get called on it, but you can have the 1 + 1 = 3 if you are covering each other's weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. I know that word. I'm just trying to think of what it is. Yeah. I used to teach on it, ironically. I can't remember it. It's really cool. The thing that you said, that these layers occur. I was thinking the other day, I have this friend that I've had for 40 years now. And because we talk about the radio show, topics come up and we share stuff about our life, and layers are added to the depth of our friendship. Right? And what I'm encouraging you to do this week is ask God to help you see the layers that He's been trying to strip back from you, the layers He's been trying to add on to you, the layers of names, the layers of praise, the layers of love. Right, and help you to have the eyes to see that. Go to masculinejourney.org to register for the upcoming boot camp. We'd love to see you there. Time's running short. Please register today. We'll talk to you next week.
When I heard the stories from the stage that the other men had, and then during my prayer time, I'm getting a download from God on where my life is and how I have wounds and I have a place in His story. To know how I heard from God is one of those things. He really does communicate with us.
Register today at masculinejourney.org.
This is the Truth Network.